problematic. So I'll again ask the questions, Piers. I'm asking you because we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Name something positive that our Zionist AIPAC foreign policy has brought to America.
Exactly.
Well, I think the positive side of, if you want an answer about that, is that America has been Israel's steadfast ally because it recognizes as a country that Israel has been under an almost threat on its border for a very long time from people that want to destroy it. And you know that you may not see that as a benefit, but Israel has been very supportive to the United States in many ways, right? So why shouldn't America?
I just want something concrete that has been benefit. Like we got better in America in this way. Like, just name something. Gas prices, just something that the average American can relate to.
Well, you're not going to have a correlation between Zionism and gas prices in America. Of course, you're not.
No, I'm just
obviously
giving
there are
so just tell
there
me
are
one
obvious
thing
tangible benefits.
What your argument here is like, well, you get a pat on the back and you can say that you helped this country, which was formed in 1948 by pretending to be refugees, if you will, and being invited into the homes of Palestinians, the horrific story
Well, they weren't
of what
pretending to be refugees. They were people fleeing a Holocaust.
Let's be clear. Let me finish my statement.
What do you mean pretending to be refugees?
Let me finish my statement. When I say pretending to be refugees and being invited into the home, you would think that these people were helpless and were going to be grateful to the people that hosted them. People like Muhammad Hadid, Bella Hadid and Gigi Hadid's father, who was an infant at this time in his mother's arms. She had just given birth. They had invited these refugees because of the goodness of their heart. And then one day they return home and their doors are locked and they are told that if you try to enter, you are going to be shot and killed.
Wow.
That is the reality of how Israel was established as a state. Okay, that is not a stain that you can wipe from history. Most Americans growing up actually believe what happened was that, okay, it was a little messy. That's what happens after wars. Borders get changed. But at the very least, they were given money. I mean, you've lived here for hundreds of years. Here's money for your property. No, that's not what happened. They were forced out of their homes at gunpoint.
Listen,
and it's wrong. So we get to be the nation on the back. According to you, the thing that America gets. Let me finish. I'm going to let you finish. It's your show. We can. But let me finish. Your argument is that what we get to be is that nation that keeps supporting it as they continue to move their borders in this way. Now we're seeing that incursion into Gaza, and we are certainly going to see it by the end of this administration in the West Bank. Because, like I said, that is why Miriam Adelson gave Trump $100 million.
Look, as you know, I oppose what the Israeli government is doing now in Gaza. I oppose the expansion of settlements on the West Bank. I think all of that is completely wrong. I do think America supports Israel because it remains the only democracy in the Middle East, and that's an important.
They're not a democracy. Stop saying that, Piers. You know better.
Well, they have elections.
It's not a democracy.
They have elections.
But who gets to vote in those elections?
Exactly.
Do the Gazans get to vote in that election?
No.
Well, the Israelis get to vote in Israel, obvioly.
Okay, so you're basically saying America had a democracy, we had
Israel
laws
ceded
that said Black Americans couldn't,
Israel,
Black Americans
Israel
couldn't
moved
vote.
out. It is indisputable that Israel moved out of Gaza in 2005, and there was an election, and Hamas got elected. Right now,
yeah,
I agree
that's because
I agree with you. I agree with
But Bibi Netanyahu was on camera saying that they were going to fund Hamas into power. So they orchestrated that because if they wanted to create the solution.
I agree with you that Netanyahu wanted to cause a split between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. It was divide and rule. It was a catastrophically bad strategy, and it led to what happened on October the 7th over a 20-year period. There's no doubt it was a terrible thing that Netanyahu did. One of the many reasons I think he should go. But there was no doubt that the Israelis pulled out of Gaza and allowed them to have elections, and they elected Hamas, and the rest has been disastrous history.
Because the Israelis funded, because Bibi Netanyahu, they funded Hamas into power.
I don't disagree with you, but they still had elections.
So it's like we rigged an election, but look what the election results show is that they wanted to put Hamas into power. And so when we talk about who is funding these terrorists, the answer is Bibi Netanyahu. And I don't want to get into his corruption trials, but every single person watching this right now should go pursue the documentary, The Bibi Files, because it is absolutely stunning to understand.
I believe one of the reasons.
I believe one of the reasons. Let me answer the question, because you still haven't given me anything other than like you guys get a pat on the back for supporting this created nation in the Middle East. I also just like to say all of the bad things that we have gotten because of our continued relation with Israel. First and foremost, the open borders. And you can relate to this. People in the UK, they just can't seem to connect the dots.
All right.
Oh my gosh, what's happening
let me
here?
Get a word in.
But I want to say this. Okay. We don't understand where all these refugees are coming from. Oh my God, where are all these refugees coming from? Who's funding them coming over into these borders? Well, this is what you get when you keep supporting these nonstop wars, when you keep bombing where these people live. And it's not even just a conspiracy, by the way. If you're like, oh, well,
actually,
you know,
I mean, you're wrong about this, because the vast majority of people coming into the UK illegally are not coming from war-torn countries in the Middle East. They're actually economic migrants. I mean,
okay.
So that's not true.
Okay, but let's connect that. Let's connect that. When you say economic migrants, are we talking about like
people who literally want to come to the UK for a better life?
And when Gaddafi was heading up Libya and the country was on the up and up, and he was working with the United Nations, and then all of a sudden he warned that if you collapse Libya and turn it into a place where refugees are escaping, that this is going to be your problem, Europe. He warned that. So then it actually happened, and now we're just calling them economic migrants. We're going to pretend
I'm not
that we had nothing to do.
people coming from Libya.
Okay, where are you speaking about?
Well, for example, I think it was last year, a third of all the people who came into the UK on the border on the small boats illegally, it turned out were young economic migrant males from Albania, which last time I checked, we hadn't invaded. So look, let me pull you back to something you said, which has caused a lot of controversy, which is this issue of dishonorable discharges. Take a listen.
I do believe that if war in Iran is on the agenda, and that appears so, get dishonorably discharged. Who cares? Who cares? Why should you go die in a foreign land? You now have the benefit of 2020. You can see, think about those men and those women who died because they were pitched that they were serving their country because there were weapons of mass destruction, right? They were serving their country because the Taliban, they were serving their country, whatever. And these people gave up their lives. And ask yourselves, for what? And the answer to that question is for the elites. They're like toy soldiers.
When you said that, were you aware of the repercussions if people dishonorably discharged?
So just to put this into context, this is like the Q&A, live Q&A portion at the end of my show. And being facetious, but also being completely honest, that they should begin to consider, and that was somebody asking, what should we do? Like, should we leave the military? Because they also
do you regret
are recognizing
that?
No, I don't regret saying that. I don't
But
regret
you know the repercussions if you do discharge dishonorably.
Okay, well, I would imagine that the people that are in the military who were going to, if they were going to listen to my podcast and they were going to dishonorably discharge, that they would know the consequences. So it's completely ridiculous. And again, we see this over and over again where people can't answer the broader questions. They try to suddenly peg in, well, you said this one thing. No.
It's quite a big, it's not a small thing.
No, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
You're basically you're encouraging US servicemen and women to dishonorably discharge.
You play a clip and I'm trying to answer it. You know, you can't do that. You ask a question.
Well, you're trying to downplay it,
and I'm responding. No, I am. No, you're trying to upplay it. Is what the issue is. This is exactly.
I'm just repeating what you said.
You're not. You're playing what I said, and I'm responding to it and telling you that the broader piece of that conversation, when you have troops that are now asking that question, is they are recognizing that America is in steep decline, that our military comes back and they are treated like dirt. That a lot of these men, and we're talking about decades, white American males come back and they're told that they're racist and they're treated like crap, that they're white supremacists, if they have a different vision for this country. So why are they dying in these overseas wars for Bibi Netanyahu? Okay, and let me again try to answer that question that I asked you at the beginning, which is, what has Zionism won America? What have these never? Why won't you let me actually say what people are recognizing? You come back and there are open borders and you're told that you are racist. Okay, you come back and you're told that you are racist if you don't want open borders. Meanwhile, you're sent overseas to defend Israel's borders. It's a nonsense. And who's funding these open borders? According to Barry Weiss, and I quote, Barry Weiss said this verbatim: the Jewish connection to the refugee is not a conspiracy. That's something that we are very proud of. And she was referencing the organization HIAS, and she says it explicitly, which she said what was started by them in the 1880s, which includes immigrants that have come in like Sergey Brin. They are still the organization that is operating at our border right now, okay? That is problematic, that we have open borders while we continually and routinely are told that we have to defend somebody else's borders, okay? And again, these never-ending wars in the Middle East at the behest of Israel. Bibi Netanyahu is the one that called for Americans to invade Iraq, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, and now Iran, and we've done it. We're told Israel can defend itself, okay? But why do we have currently 2,000 troops that are in Syria under the guise of fighting ISIS? And like I said, we know Israel themselves fund terror. terror adjacent militants like they did to overthrow Assad. And we're done with the BS of, okay, well, they weren't really involved Israel in Afghanistan, because even when we fight those never ending wars, Israel wins. Everybody knows that our boys were out there in Afghanistan guarding poppy fields, okay? And do you know what happened after we allegedly, quote unquote, lost in Afghanistan? What happened to all those poppy fields, those poppy flowers that our military was guarding? Well, the opioid crisis hit America via the Sackler family, who quite literally built the School of Medicine at Tel Aviv University. So we're just done, okay? And there's no way that we're going to go backwards. We're not going to allow you guys to emotionally condition us to go, oh, well, we got to protect Israel because of the Holocaust. It is over. They're imparting a Holocaust. America would like off this crazy train.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd want my kids to go to jail before they fought for Israel. I'll say that honestly.
Okay.
I would. I have 3 sons, and I'm going to be honest with you, Pierce. I'm glad you told me that consequence. I'd take that consequence any day to them being sent back over in a coffin because they died for Israel. So.
Okay, but I think the one thing you're missing, look, I come from a big military family, a lot of military in my family, and a lot of people fighting wars on behalf of the United States are not doing it because they think Bibi Netanyahu wants them to. They're doing it because
some of them do that, and they write into my show and I answer the question.
But many of them won't, and they might be offended by you suggesting that's the only reason they're doing it.
And they can watch your show, and they can be offended all they want, but I think it's more offensive the way that our military is treated, the veterans are treated, and the gaslighting that takes place when we're told that we have to defend everybody's borders. But I
actually think America treats its veterans better than almost any country in the world.
I mean, conversation, and I'm just saying that if my boys were being drafted to fight this war in Iran, I would be like, you know what, honey, take the other option. And that's not because it's cowardice. It's because when you sign up for the military.
Okay, but I would say that the pilots,
you are so far, that you are doing something that is going to better your country.
Candace,
and like I said, our country has been in steep decline since we have imparted this foreign policy, which is just whatever Israel wants.
Okay, but you made that point. But what I would say to you is the only people so far that have been involved from the American military were the extraordinarily courageous and skillful pilots who flew these B-2 bombers and attacked the nuclear sites and got back safely. So there's been no troops on the ground committed at all, no declaration of war by the United States. We can quibble. Listen, I don't disagree with you. You bomb somewhere, you probably are at war with them. But there is no official declaration of war, just as Trump, when he took out Soleimani and Baghdadi and he attacked Syria and so on, he didn't declare war on those places. And actually it turned out that the apocalyptic warnings of those actions never materialized. So we shall see. I can't let you go without asking. Let me ask you just quickly about the Tucker-Ted Cruz debate. What did you make of that?
It is finally the debate that needed to happen in America, because a part of this nonstop policy is this belief, as you said, Ted Cruz, that if we just do whatever Israel wants, that God's going to bless you. And it's quite ironic because it comes from Protestants, and their normal argument is that the reason why we had to have this fracture in the church was because of indulgences. Well, there's nothing more indulgent than I'm going to be blessed if I just do whatever Israel says. And so because we are finally having that spiritual conversation, which is more important, I suspect there's going to be major changes in the United States going forward. And that is why you're seeing this fracture in the base already.
Tucker, according to Donald Trump, Tucker rang Trump to apologize for some of the more strident rhetoric he's used against him recently. Are you done with Donald Trump, or could you see a way that you would end up perhaps voting for him? Oh, he can't run again, obviously, but would you support him publicly again?
So I want to be clear. I don't regret voting for Donald Trump above Kamala. I think he was the better candidate, certainly a better candidate above Joe Biden. But what I will say is that he's been a chronic disappointment. And I feel embarrassed that I told people to go vote for him because this wasn't going to happen, and it is happening. But I just think that the picture of politics in America is going to look very differently because of his actions. So I don't know where we go from here. I really don't. But this is not the candidate that I voted for.
If it turns out that his instincts were right, that by doing what he did, it brings Iran to the negotiating table and they do a deal on their nuclear plans, would you admit that you were wrong in that circumstance?
Yeah. I will always admit when I'm wrong. Anybody that listens to my podcast knows that. It just so happens to be that, especially if I come on to the Piers Morgan show and I make some predictions, that it ends up that I'm right. So I'm feeling lucky, but I will of course admit I'm wrong if that is the result.
Candace, always good to have your views on Uncensored. You know that. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
That was really brilliant from Candace Owens. That was really, 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 really. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my goodness. She went crazy on that. Do you know what? I was reading a couple of comment, from that show. Some people they calling Candace, she lost their mind, giving birth, and man, they go crazy, because look at the way she can't even support Israel. It's not about supporting Israel or Iran. I don't support Iran. I don't support Israel. I don't support America. I don't care about any of them country. No, it's about what you do to people. It's about what you do to human life. Human life, So America, they want to be the giants of everything. That's the problem. Donald Trump said he's going to stop the war from Russia and Ukraine. He said he's going to do that. Look at the war. He's still carrying on. Israel and Gaza. Trump said he's going to stop that. But look he can't stop any of that. No, Trump is not a child. He's a president of the United States of America. I don't like him. I don't care about him. Certain policies that he does is just stupid. And especially the people that are behind him, they're all bunch of morons, bunch of ignorant. To him, he's doing what is right for his country. But the most people that are getting hurt is the people for his country, the people from his country, the people of American, and especially the children. We can't just think like we know better when it comes to country like Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and especially majority of people that always think they know better for the African. It's the same thing. They think they know better for for the Middle East countries. People that they always think they know better for the African people. No. Fix your country first. Fix your country. Everything Candace Owens, she just said over there, I don't have any disagreement. If you think you have disagreement, leave a comment, I'll just love to know, because I really think she was on fire. She spoke a lot of facts in a lot of way, she pointed a lot of things, and especially you need to understand what she asks Piers Morgan. She asks, name one thing Israel has done for American, even at the gas price, anything, bring her anything. He didn't have anything to say because he know they're thinking about, let's change the regime of Iran. Why don't you change the regime of Israel and the regime of American? America people, they want different regime. They're tired. I'll say this again. Majority of the people that they vote for Trump, I saw the first time when he was a president. You need to learn a lesson when you see somebody, the way they speak, the way they behave, the way they act around other. That's when you understand who we are as a human being. Trump, the first time, it was a disaster. What makes you think he's going to be different the second time? What makes you? Everything, I think it was somebody in America that was doing an interview in that person. One guy heard, he said, everything Trump touched, he destroyed. Imagine that. Why are you going to vote Donald Trump? He never starved in his life. He's always been, rich from toddler until he's an adult. He never starved in his life. Why are you going to put somebody like that to be a president? Why are you going to vote somebody like Donald Trump to be your president? That's the one thing I don't understand in America. It's like in America country, there's no more smart people. Joe Biden, I don't know why he was a president. He was already old. Why are you going to put him in office? People that they understand, they will vote for somebody that is giving good policy. It doesn't matter, you're black, look, I'll vote for white, Chinese, black, Indian, Mexican, whoever, long as they came with a good policy. That's who I'm gonna vote for. I'm not just gonna vote for somebody because they're white. White people they stick with, let me vote that person because he's white. They don't care. But look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump got voted in office not because he brought good policy. No, because he's white. Nothing more. That's why white people they vote. It's the same with us black as well. You have majority of black, they want to vote for that black person because of the black. No. Good policy. That's who you vote for. And black America, I think it will be good, have a political party rather than depending on Democratic Party or Republic. Republic, they don't like black. Democratic, they don't like black. It doesn't matter. You're going to say, at least they embrace. No. Have your own party. Fund your own self. because there's a lot of smart Black American, very smart, very intelligent Black America. But the problem about Black America is the same with the African. We hardly embrace how good we are. It's like we just depend in Africa. So they will sit down with damn policy. The president will be there for decades, not produce nothing. They're still gonna leave that person over there. While the people they're struggling in poverty. The same thing with Black America. They keep voting Democratic or Republican because they think something good is gonna come. I seen it. A lot of I'm a black daddy vote for Donald Trump. I only vote for Donald Trump because he's gonna make me rich. I only vote for Donald Trump because I want my business to go. No, you're an idiot. You only vote for Donald Trump because you go where the wind goes. Once the wind dies on, you start changing your mind, and that's the problem we have in Black community. We are follower. We are follower. We will mingle with people that hate us the most so we can just get likes. That's the problem with us. We want to be accepted from people that hate us because that's who we are. And that needs to change. That needs to change. We need to embrace who we are. There's a lot that I'm gonna speak about, but we heard Candace Owens, what she spoke, what she said. I wish majority of us we can let's stop hating on her. It's about let's just listening. She made a lot of mistakes. She's still gonna make a lot of mistakes, just like us. As human, we always gonna make a lot of mistakes. Yes, we do. We have a lot of issues in us. Absolutely. Some people, even one of my video I posted, one person rule over there said, why everything has to be involved with Black America? Can you see, when I see somebody saying why everything have to evolve around Black America, let me tell you this. When I look in a mirror, I see myself black. I don't see myself, oh, because I'm African, I can't speak for Black America. No, a white person see me as a black person. No, because you're an America, so they will see you different than me. No way. They see you the same. If I travel to Brazil, I'll get the same shit treatment as a black Brazilian. Yes. If I come to America, I'll get the same treatment America you get. If they give me different treatment, I'll be like, oh, okay, let me chill here then. Wow, I'm completely, no, I'm not different. So let's remove the concepts, because I'm a Black American, you're Black African, we're completely different. We have to hate each other. This is the problem. What people, they create this, and we became what they create from us, division. We should embrace who we are. Do you know what? They bring division, they bring the problem, they bring the hate to us. Do you know what we have? We embrace the hate, we became divided, and that divide became so deep in us, we start hating our kind. And that's the problem we have. I hope, our young children, they can come out different so we can give them something. It's going to be very hard, man. It's going to be hard. But one thing I'm going to say is this. What is happening to Gaza or Iran, Israel? We should hope for peace. Gaza needs to get peace. Israel needs to have peace. Iran needs to have peace. Whatever they have, they need to work it out rather than killing one another or killing the innocent. It's not good. We hope for world peace, not disaster world. We don't need disaster world. It brings nothing but chaos. We need to bring back God. We lost our way when it comes to God. Like our president said, I'm talking about our president, Marcus Garvey, our king Marcus Garvey said, we need to put God first. God first. We lost our way. It's like the image of God. We remove God from everything. That's why you can see the disaster is happening. We put human things around all of us. God, we need to bring back God. We need to bring God back. I wish you can share. I'm sorry if I took too long, but I'm gonna cut this video to 2, so I'm gonna catch you guys to the next video. Peace.